Hello everyone, and thank you very much for joining me this evening for this free webinar, which is part of my Transformative Health series. And tonight's topic is just called Discovering the 3 most effective ways to overcome health issues through the food you eat. So you'll find a chat box on the side. So if you want to comment on anything or ask questions as we go, please feel free to do this in the chat box, and I will answer them as I can as we go through. So I'm going to be switching to a PowerPoint presentation now, so bear with me a second. Great. So I just want to check, can everyone hear me okay? Can everyone hear me and see the PowerPoint as well? Okay, great. Well, we're going to get started now then. So, as I said, we're going to be looking at how we can discover the most effective ways to overcome health issues through the food that we eat. So, this webinar is perfect for you if you're currently struggling with a health issue and want to know how to improve this, how to reduce symptoms and improve your health through natural methods. Also, this seminar is for you if you want to know how to keep your family happy and healthy with strong boosted immune systems. This is something that's really important now if you've got children, with them all having gone back to school and all the coughs and colds, etc., that are going to come. So we'll be going through some really simple tips today that will empower you and support you and your family through this. This is also for you if you're healthy, but you really want to know how to supercharge your energy and your immune system through the food that you eat. Also, another key point that I think is really, really fundamental is looking at your relationship between yourself and food, because the relationship between yourself and food is very much reflected on how you feel about yourself. Food is nurturing. Yeah, so food is all about love, loving yourself. So we'll be looking at aspects of that as well. This also is great for you if you want to really thrive, not just survive. You know, so many of us just walk around with minimal energy and we're not really thriving. We're not really working to the best of our abilities. And this is something that I'm really passionate about, showing people how we can really become the best beings that we are. So whether you've got a health issue at the moment or not, or you just want to really know how to strengthen your health or your family's health, then this webinar is perfect for you. So here's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to be looking at the biggest mistakes that people struggling with health issues commonly make. We're going to look at the secret to radically improving your health issues so that you can really start having energy, so you can start living life to the full. And also we're going to be looking at my 5-step process to transform your health forever. So at the end, if you listen all the way to the end, there's going to be a really special bonus as a thank you for taking the time to really journey with me into health and well-being, which is something I'm very passionate about. And again, just remember that if you do want to ask a specific question, then please do feel free to do this in the chat. I've seen lots of you saying hello and that you can hear me, so that's really great. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I've been a nutritionist for over 10 years and a healer for 20 years. I'm a mother of 2. I'm an author. My new book came out about a month and a half ago called Divine Desserts, which I'm very excited about. And my motto is let delicious food be your medicine, because so much of the time in the world, you know, we think that good, healthy food isn't going to taste nice. And I want to show people that actually we can have food that tastes incredible, but that is so supportive of our body, that's so supportive of our life. And Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, because this is such an important concept, really, that food is not just to fill our bellies. Food has been designed by Mother Nature to really strengthen us, to help us to survive on this planet, to help us thrive. So the closer we can get back to our food being our medicine, the more empowering it is for our health. So everything I teach, I live myself. I try to live myself. And I really feel that it's through our relationship to ourselves, to this beautiful planet, to the food that we eat, that we can really live the life that we're meant to, and we can achieve our potential. You know, that our genetic potential for living is 136 years old. Isn't that incredible? 136. How many of you think you're going to live to 136? Anyone? My aim is 118, so not quite 136, but that's what I'm aiming for, 118. I spoke to my grandmother the other day in America, who is now 87, and she said, I'm going to live to 100. So, you know, that's an amazing thing, isn't it? That we can have that potential. But it's not just about living to an old age. If someone said 93, they're going to live to 93. That's a good age. But it's not just about living to an old age. What we want to do is we want to thrive into our old years, don't we? Because so many old people now aren't able to do much. So to me, I don't see a point in living to be very old if I'm not going to be thriving and really living life to the full. So what's brought me to this point? Well, when I was young, my mother got multiple sclerosis. And I was 8 years old at this point. And multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune deficiency. And she decided that she would dramatically change our lives. So she changed what we ate. This was the first kind of port of call of what she did for her health, but also for ours, because she realized there was a direct correlation between what you put in yourself and how it made you feel. So she switched our diet when I was 8 to being one where we ate very low animal fats. We ate high fish oils and low grains, and lots and lots and lots of vegetables, high vitamin C intake. And she noticed very dramatically that if she didn't follow this diet, then her health would be affected. Her day-to-day health, her ability to communicate with us, her ability to function, the muscle spasms in her body. So I really noticed this as an 8-year-old, the power that nutrition has on our healing and on our health, on our day-to-day, and also the overall bigger picture. So through my life, I've also had many health issues. As a child, I had chronic bronchitis, I had severe asthma, I had a collapsed lung, I had poor digestive system, probably from all the steroids that they were pumping me for my asthma. You know, these things all have a direct correlation. And then as I got older, I had chronic migraines, I had precancerous cells in my cervix. So all of this was going on in me as a teenager, generally, from my young years to my teenage years. And in my 20s, I really started to take charge of my health, because that's when I found healing. And I thought, actually, there's a lot more going on to this than just what meets the eye. So it wasn't just actually about what I was putting into my body, but it was also about my thoughts. It was about my general well-being. It was about my stress levels, because all of these things can affect our overall health. And it was through having these conditions that it allowed me to really take a deeper journey into my health, into my well-being, into what that actually means. And it really helped me to understand and have a desire to thrive. I also realized that I had a mission in life, and my mission was to really communicate healing and well-being to people. And I think the best way to do that is through what you've experienced yourself. In fact, this morning I had quite an incident, and sometimes health issues aren't always, so they're not always common, they're surprise ones. So this morning, my little boy, as he was getting dressed for school, kicked my eye and managed to really graze it. So all day I've been in quite excruciating pain and unable to open my eye. Luckily, I've managed to sort that out. I did go to the doctors to find out what was structurally going on with my eye. And once I knew what was going on and there wasn't severe damage, it was just these abrasions, I turned to nature to find the solution. So I thought, well, actually, hang on, what's going on? My eye is inflamed. So I need to have some anti-inflammatories that are going to help my body heal but reduce the pain and the spasms. So I did some shots of turmeric and ginger because these are amazing natural anti-inflammatories. And this really began to help. Now, the doctor said I needed antibiotics. Now, I, where possible, steer clear of these things. So I got colloidal silver out because this is a natural antibiotic. And I washed my eye out with that. And a combination of these things and breathing, which we'll be talking about later, really helped me to move through this, to move through the pain, and also to allow my body to heal itself, because the body ultimately knows what it's doing. The body is a really, really clever thing. So, what is the biggest mistake that people struggling with health issues commonly make? Well, we all have issues at some point with our health, and quite often we're very quick to hand this over to other people. So we're quite quick to say, look, can you sort this out for me? I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to hand over the power to you. And this is a really important part. This is a really important thing to be aware of, because when we hand over our power to someone else, we are not listening to our own body. We're not listening to what our body wants to tell us, because in everything that happens to us, there is a reason. Okay, so there is a deeper reason in everything that happens. So we've forgotten that it's our bodies and us that's in charge. It's not the doctors. They can guide us for sure. Like the doctor guided me because she was able to look in my eye with the right equipment. So I'm not saying we need to cut that out, but we need to listen to what these people have to say, but we also need to feel what our body wants. Because ultimately, we are the only ones who can make a difference in our lives. And we have to learn to really trust our own wisdom. This is the key, really trusting your wisdom. Another really common mistake that people make when they're struggling with health issues, let's say weight gain, is that they look for alternatives. They turn and they say, okay, well, I need to lose weight, so I'm going to go for sugar-free because I've heard sugar's bad, and I'm going to go for low fat, or I'm going to go for no added sugar or fat-free. And these cause more problems than having the sugar and the fat, because it's about the context that we have these things in. So it's much better to give your body natural foods than chemically processed foods, because ultimately your body knows what to do with natural foods because they've come from the earth. The body is able to deal with them. However, the chemicals, your body doesn't know what to do with. So this is a really, really important thing, and we'll be touching on this more later, how to really return to the source, eating as close to the source, to Mother Earth, as we possibly can. Another thing that we quite often do is we take pills to mask the problem. Has anyone done that? They've had a pain, so they've gone and they've taken painkillers. Well, ultimately, what's happening is there is a pain there for a reason. Okay, so that pain is indicating a deeper problem. So if we mask that pain, what we are doing is we are masking the actual problem that the body is highlighting to us. So how can we radically improve our health so that we can stop feeling exhausted and symptomatic and start really living life again? Because ultimately that's what life's about, isn't it? It's about living it to the fullest, being happy and healthy. Well, the first step to this is we don't want to hand over our power to others. We want to start taking charge of our health and how this feels in our body. So, step 1, breathing. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, how is breathing to do with food? Oxygen is a subtle nutrient that is key to our health and well-being. So most of us are suffering from a lack of oxygen, whether this is from inadequate breathing, whether this is from poor diets, from air pollution, from lack of exercise. our cells are being deprived of this vital element. And therefore, by depriving ourselves of this vital element of oxygen, we weaken our immune system. So energy is life, and the production of energy in the body depends on, guess what? Oxygen. Okay, so breathing properly, breathing fully, balloon breaths is one of the most important things. So I want you to take a minute now, and we're actually going to connect in with our breath. So I want you to put your hands on your belly, and I want you to sit with a nice straight back. And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that as you breathe in, your belly expands out, like you're blowing up a balloon. And as you breathe out, your belly contracts. Your chest area should not move, your shoulders should not move. It's just your belly that's moving. Okay? So I want you to sit here and try this 3 breaths like this. So hands on the belly, taking a deep breath in. Belly expanding, breathing out, belly contracting. And again, breathing in, belly expanding, breathing out, belly contracting. And one more deep breath, breathing in, and breathing out. Now, does anyone feel anything different? First of all, was that easy for anyone? Was it hard? What did that feel like? Please do share your experiences in the chat box. A lot of the time, we are programmed to breathe in a different way. So I work in schools quite a lot, and it's really interesting because you see these little 5-year-olds taking a deep breath in and their shoulders go up, and as they breathe in, their belly sucks in. So the opposite way from how we're meant to actually breathe. So it's really important that we connect into our breath properly because it has so many ramifications, a lot more than we realise. And where do you think these 5-year-olds get this wrong breathing from? Because when they're babies and they're lying down, they do great belly breaths. You know, they're amazing at breathing. But somewhere between 0 and 5, they've switched how they breathe. Any idea how that might be? It's from imitation. Because guess how children learn? They learn from us. They learn from grown-ups. So this is going on with all of us. You know, the more stressed we get, the more tense our shoulders get, the harder it is to breathe deeply. And as I said, you know, oxygen is so key. Oxygen is energy of life, and every cell depends on being oxygenated. So the second most important function of oxygen is basically it combines with our metabolic waste products to allow proper elimination from the body. So this process is known as oxidation reduction cycle. So this is really key, isn't it? You know, if we're not breathing properly, we're not getting rid of these waste products that our body is desperate to eliminate. Also, if we're not taking these full deep breaths, what happens is we have this stale, stagnant air that is sitting in the bottom 3/4 of our lungs, and it's just staying there, stagnating. And what happens when things stagnate? Infection and disease grow. So we need to make sure we are constantly emptying out our lungs to their full capacity. And doing that little exercise I showed you, just for a few minutes, is a really good way to connect in with our breath and clear out these waste products. So another function that oxygen has is it helps us to remove viruses from our body. So oxygen not only gives us life, but it destroys harmful bacteria and viruses within our body. It's not affecting the good bacteria, it's just affecting these viruses and this bad bacteria. So again, it's really, really key for a strong immune system. So the second step to really transforming your health and well-being is water. Now, this may sound like a strange thing because we all know that water is important, don't we? So we all know that we need to drink water. Water is, in fact, the key of life. We are made up of over 70% water. So water is vital for us. Without water, we'll die, and we'll die very quickly. Obviously, oxygen will die even quicker. We can go 3 minutes approximately without oxygen, okay, before our body starts to die. We can go 3 days without water. There has obviously been the odd extreme case where people have gone for 8 to 10 days, but generally we don't want to do this. Now, what's going on with water is that most people are chronically dehydrated. So most people are walking around chronically dehydrated because every day you're losing a minimum of 1.5 litres of water. And this is without doing any exercise, okay? So forget actually running around. This is just a standard day, 1.5 litres of water. So how many of you, I want honest answers here, are actually drinking a minimum of 1.5 litres of water every day? So you can type this up in the chat box. I want honest answers as to if you really are doing this. A very interesting little side note on water is that I drink quite a lot of water. I drink about 2.5 litres a day, and this is what I've been doing for a while. But I felt like I was dehydrated. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to up my water intake. I'm going to really push this up a notch, because I was noticing that my skin was quite dry. So your skin can be dry for a few reasons. Your skin can be dry from dehydration, or your skin can be dry from a lack of essential fats. So I thought, well, I'm having enough essential fats, so maybe I'm dehydrated. So I upped my water to about 4 litres a day, and it has really changed my health and vitality. Now, I'm a very healthy, vital person. So this really surprised me, that the dramatic effect that I felt. Now, this is something really interesting. If you feel thirsty, this is the last indication that your body is dehydrated. Okay, I'm going to say that again. If you feel thirsty, this is an indication, the last indication of dehydration. So before your mouth gets dry and thirsty, your cells and your vital functions in your body, your brain, are being deprived of water. So that's quite something, isn't it, when you think about that? Because quite often we feel thirsty, don't we? I've had a few people come up saying, yeah, they drink water but feel thirsty as well. So this means what we're dealing with quite often is a backlog of chronic dehydration. I noticed in my children's school that they were having a glass of water at break, a small glass, and a glass of water at lunchtime, and that was it. Okay, that's nowhere near the water they should be drinking. That's a very good question. Someone's just said, can you drink too much water? Well, if you're not putting a pinch of salt in your water, then yes, you can. Because what you're doing is you're flushing out your salts, the electrolytes in your body. So what I always do is put a little pinch of good raw sea salt into my water. Just a tiny pinch. You don't even have to taste it. But what this does is this allows your body to be replacing the minerals that you're drinking. So another key when it comes to water is actually looking at, well, what water am I drinking? Because we need to be drinking clean water. As it says at the top of the slide, clean water. So tap water is not clean water. Tap water may be clean technically, but it's not actually clean for our body, because some water has fluoride in. Well, fluoride actually is a neurotoxin. Fluoride actually calcifies our pineal gland, the center of our intuition. Fluoride also kills bacteria in our gut, and we'll be getting to the gut in a little bit and talking about that. Also, water has chlorine. How many of you have turned the tap on and you've got this really strong smell of chlorine coming out of it? I know I have. So chlorine kills bacteria, doesn't it? So it's not only killing bad bacteria, but it's also killing good bacteria. So it's really important that if you're drinking tap water, which I highly recommend not doing, but if you have to drink tap water, which sometimes we do, you should pour that water and leave it to sit for an hour. Because in that time, the water is allowed to, that the chlorine comes off it. So we're not then drinking all of that chlorine. So when we think about how much water we're drinking, I always like to think about this analogy, and I've talked to children about this in schools for years, and it's great, isn't it, when you can hold up a visual representation of a grape, this nice, juicy, lovely, mushy thing, which is what our cells should look like if they are adequately hydrated, or a raisin. Yes, they may taste nice, but they're shriveled, aren't they? So we can think about this with ourselves, not only our cells, but also our skin and our body. Do we want to look like a nice, plump, juicy grape? Or do we want to look like a shriveled raisin? I know what I want to go for. I want to be a nice, plump grape. So yes, filtered water is okay, and I'll be getting onto that in a second. So when we look at tap water as well, water holds memories. And in a minute, I'm going to show you some beautiful pictures from Dr. Emoto's book, The Hidden Messages in Water, where he was able to photograph the geometric structure of water. And what he found was amazing. So when we look at filters for water and we're looking at what we're drinking, spring water is great. I always filter spring water though if I get it, because you don't know if it's got runoff from fields and things like this. But spring water is obviously alive. It's gone over the rocks. It's got this magnetic charge, which it's meant to have. So with the magnetic charge that's in that water from the springs, the water molecules are small enough that they can be absorbed more easily. With tap water, these molecules are quite big, so it's quite hard for it to get in. So quite often if you're drinking tap water, what will happen is someone will drink a glass and they'll need to pee straight away. Whereas when you're drinking really good filtered water, or spring water, this doesn't happen because the water is being more easily absorbed. Also, the salt helps with this because the minerals in the water are key. Water is hungry. I don't know if any of you have heard that expression before. So what that means is water is constantly looking for minerals. It's alive, it's searching out minerals. So someone's just said they thought mineral water was better than spring water. It depends what you're looking at, to be honest. It depends where you're getting it from. So spring water has come up from the earth, and this is amazing. Mineral water, if it's come from a bottle, if it's a plastic bottle, then it's sat there and it's leached out the plastic from it's leached out the plastic into the water. So you're drinking chemicals in your water. And that water has been sat on the shelves for goodness knows how long. Because what happens is they blow the bottles, the plastic bottles, and ideally what you would want to happen is that to sit for a year, that plastic bottle, and not do anything. Okay, so for 1 year it should sit. Then it can be filled with water, and then there won't be a leaching effect. How many of you think that this happens? Well, you're right, it doesn't, because that would be uneconomical. So spring water is amazing because it's actually just coming up from the earth. If you can get fresh natural mineral water, then great. That's really good. Bottled mineral water that's in glass bottles is obviously a good thing to have, but again, you don't have that life force in there, so you'd want to charge it up. So some of the best filters that I've found on the market are the Nikken PyMag. This is the one that I personally have because this also has minerals in it from below the sea, and it has a magnetic current. So this is charging your water with minerals and with magnets whilst clearing it. The Berkey filter is also a really, really amazing filter that filters out 99% of contaminants. So both of these I would recommend as the top filters to get. So here we are with Dr. Emoto's pictures that he took, or some of them. If you haven't seen this book, definitely worth going out and looking at or searching up online. So as you can see, if you look at the one on the top row 4, in the words "you disgust me" was said to the water, and we can see that there's no geometric structure. And the one next to it, the words "you fool," again, there's no real structure. But then when we look at ones that say the word "angel," look at that, it's beautiful, isn't it? Or the word "peace." So these are really, really amazing things of how water is affected by words, by music, by the environment that it's in. So remember this, you are made up of water. So everything that you think, when you're drinking, when you're eating, is being stored in your water, is being stored at a cellular level, at a vibrationary level. So what we want to make sure we're doing is having good thoughts when we're eating and drinking, because it's being stored in our bodies. So I'm sure some of you have seen people writing on their glasses or on their bottles, or putting their bottle of water onto a nice symbol, because all of this is going to be affecting the vibration, the subtle vibrations of the water, so therefore affecting your subtle vibrations. Back briefly to thinking about dehydration and thinking about why water is so important. Our brains are made up of 75% water. So therefore, the logical conclusion is that if we're dehydrated, this is going to have an impact on our cognitive functions and also our mood. How many of you get to 3, 4 o'clock and you get grumpy and ratty? Does that happen to anyone? I know it was happening to me and I couldn't understand it. I didn't know why this was going on. And then I started to look into it. And I thought, hang on, I'm not drinking enough water through the day. So my brain is struggling to function properly. There have been studies to show that with only 1% dehydration, there are actually adverse effects on concentration, alertness, and also short-term memory. So this might explain why your children come home and you say, how was your day? What did you do? And they say, I don't remember. Because they haven't drunk enough water at school. Or the same for you when you've got to halfway through your day and at work and you really are struggling to function. Drink more water. The key for me, and this is how I really got into drinking more water, it was really effective, was that when I wake up, after I've brushed my teeth and cleaned my mouth with oil pulling with coconut oil, which I'll be talking about at another time because it's quite a big subject, I have a big glass of water. In fact, I have 2 pints of water with a pinch of salt in first thing in the morning. Because what this does is, first of all, it allows your body's detoxification process to carry on, which has been going on all night. So it's helping you to detoxify. Secondly, it's getting your body rehydrated and getting your mouth and your body used to drinking. So if you do this, you'll find that through the day you want to drink more water. What I notice is now if I don't do this through the day, I probably won't drink much water at all. And I'll get to 3 or 4 o'clock and wonder why I'm getting grumpy. And then I'll suddenly down a few glasses. But I haven't had that consistent regularity through the day. So I have put stress on my body. Someone said they're drinking a glass of water right now with a pinch of salt. Well done. You know, this really is key, and it's such a simple thing. But we need to start doing this all the time, and we need to encourage our family members to do this. There have been studies to show that some links to Alzheimer's are actually chronic dehydration. So this is a really, really big subject. And I could talk about it all night, but I'm not going to because there are lots of other wonderful things to talk about. But I just want you to understand how key this is and how simple it will be to change your health through just drinking more water. So the next step is eating food close to the source. So what does that mean, eating food close to the source? Well, what is the source of all life? It's the sun, isn't it? And that's a beautiful picture, I think, of the sun. You know, gazing at the sun, sun gazing is a really important thing. The sun gives us so much. It gives us life. Without the sun, That would be it. Because the sun shines down and the sun feeds the plants. So we're all part of this food chain, aren't we? And the sun is the top of this food chain. So the closer we can get to eating the sun's energies, the more vital life force we will get. So what does this really mean? Well, the sun shines its vital energy down, and this energy is in the form of many different things. So there are people who live solely on the sun's life force. They do not consume any food, and they are thriving 20 years on. And these aren't just spiritual people. These are scientists. But these people have learnt to harness the energy of the sun to feed them, just as it feeds the plants. Now, I'm not saying you all need to go and become breatharians, which is what this term is known as. But what I am suggesting is that you get your food as close to the source of life as possible. So this means eating foods that are mainly vegetables and plants, because they directly engage the sun's energy. If you eat animals, then what's happening is this is a secondary product. So the sun's energy has gone in to the plants, it's fed the plants have thrived and got all this life force and vital energy in them, and then the animals have eaten that. So then if you eat the animals, you're getting that sun's energy, but it's been distracted, it's been distilled. It's not pure, it's not as strong. Does that make sense to everyone? So the closer to this we can get, the more energy we're putting into our body. Because we all know we're energetic beings. You know, there's more to us than just physical matter. But we need to feed this energetic being that we are. We need to feed it with live food. So the more raw food you can eat, the better, the more sprouts. Has anyone eaten sprouts before or had wheatgrass juice? This is an amazing kick. You know, this can really, really change your life. This can really, really empower you massively. I know if I have a shot of wheatgrass, I'm buzzing. You know, I really can feel the effects. It ramps up my brain. It's like having a shot of caffeine. Oh, someone said they lost me. Can you still hear me? Can everyone still hear me? Hopefully you can still hear me. So please just let me know. Oh, great, you can hear me. Wonderful, wonderful, great. Sorry, someone said they lost me, so I just wanted to make sure before I carried on talking that we all were on the same page and you could hear me. Great, thank you. So where do you get wheatgrass from? Someone just asked me. Great question. Well, you can grow it yourself, which is a nice thing to do. Or you can buy trays of wheatgrass and you can put these through the juicer. You can also buy wheatgrass powder. This is another thing that's a really good thing that you can do. So there are lots of different ways you can get wheatgrass. I personally like having a tray of wheatgrass growing, and then I can cut it and juice it. The other thing that's nice is sunflower sprouts. Again, when I eat these, I feel so strong and vibrant. You know, they really can affect you. You can also grow sprouts in your house. You know, you can get a little sprouter or you can just use a container. And eating sprouts, again, you're getting that life force because they're growing. You know, there's nothing more exciting for me than when you look at a seed. And this always makes me feel quite emotional when I talk about it. But when you get a seed, this beautiful pumpkin seed, for example, inside there is all of this stored potential, this life force that's just waiting. Yeah, it's stored. It's in this stasis. And if you add a little water to it, what happens? Something switches on inside it. Something activates and it starts to grow. And this little shoot comes out. And this thing that had been dormant grows a plant. You know, and this plant can grow other plants, these beautiful big pumpkins. To me, this is just mind-blowing the way nature works. They found recently a butternut squash seed, and it was planted. It was 800 years old, and it turned into a plant. 800 years, it's just been waiting. So when you can grow sprouts and you start eating that vital energy, this again can really start to increase your vibration and really move things through your body. So really important. Obviously, when we're talking about eating this life force, what isn't life force is processed food. What isn't close to the source is junk food that has been processed and is filled with chemicals. So this isn't natural, and I touched on this in the beginning, and your body won't know what to do with it. It doesn't know how to utilize it. So it eats it and it thinks, well, what is this? What am I meant to do? So it's really important that we try and minimize that as much as we possibly can and eat clean food. So the more green food that you eat, the more alkaline your body is. And this is a really key thing. We want our body to be more alkaline. We don't want it to be obviously too alkaline or too acidic. Basically, we want to be just over the neutral mark into the alkaline. But in order to do this, most of us are eating quite an acidic diet. So what is acidic food? Meat is acidic, cheese is acidic, grains are acidic, alcohol is acidic, caffeine is acidic. Obviously, some fruit and vegetables are acidic, but they're less acidic. Some nuts are acidic. So we want to be having some of it, but it's the quantity that we're having. So we really want to be having as much green food as we can, because as I said before, this is filled with life force, but it's also filled with this alkalinity. Where there is alkalinity, there is oxygenation. And go back to the beginning where we talked about breathing and the importance of oxygenation. We talked about how oxygen was important to clear metabolic waste from the body. We talked about how oxygen was important for muscle function, how oxygen is important for obviously cellular repair. We talked about how oxygen was important for removing bad bacteria and viruses. So the more oxygen we have, the less viral attack, the less disease we will have. So on the opposite of that, alkalinity equals oxygenation. Well, acidity equals decay. In acidic states, disease can grow. You will not find cancer in an alkaline body. In an acidic body, yes. So we want to have as much greens as we can. So someone's just asked, is organic meat okay? Well, it's better than non-organic meat, for sure. My personal preference is not having it, but that is my personal preference. And nutritionally, we shouldn't be having much of it. We don't need it. If you feel that you want it as part of your diet, then that's fine. That's part of your journey, and that's fine. And yes, organic is the only meat I would recommend anyone having if they are going to have it. But as I said, you don't have to have it. And it's the quantities of it that are really important. You know, some people are eating meat 3 times a day. Even once a day is too much. If you want to have meat, you shouldn't really be having it more than once or twice a week. And some people are going, whoa, once or twice a week? Really? Yes. We don't need that much animal protein. It's very hard on our body to digest. It slows down everything. It also lowers our vibration energetically because we are eating another animal. We're eating another being. So we're taking on that karmic load of that being. So we have to bear that in mind. You know, in the olden days, in tribes, people do eat meat, but sparsely. And when they eat that meat, what they do, which is so important, is they give thanks to the animal. They respect the animal and they use the whole thing. So this is a really important part of consuming meat, is that respect. So we need to be aware of that. So the next step 4, is balancing the gut. Really, really important thing. And this is a massive subject. And in my upcoming course, we'll be going into this really, really deeply, as we will with the other subjects I've been touching on. So the gut contains 100 million neurons. That's a lot of neurons, isn't it? And those neurons, in fact, there are more neurons in your gut than there are in your spinal column. And those 100 million neurons in your gut are communicating, guess where? To your brain. Directly to your brain all the time, these neurons are communicating. So what they're communicating is very interesting. They're communicating whatever what the bacteria is telling them to. So how many of you get sweet cravings? Anyone? I know quite a lot of people do. And guess what? Those sweet cravings, do you think they're coming from you? They're coming from the bacteria in your gut that are communicating through those 100 million neurons up to your brain. I like the analogy of the Little Shop of Horrors, where there's the plant and he's saying, feed me, Seymour, feed me now. So some of you, that might go over your head if you're not of the same generation as me, but others will get that reference. So this is what's happening. These bacteria are saying, feed me, I need sugar. And that message is going to our brain and we go, oh, I'm feeling a bit peckish. I need some sugar. Oh, I'm a little bit sluggish. I need sugar. But we don't. The bacteria does in order to thrive. So it's really important when we're looking at our body and we're trying to overcome health issues and we're trying to really get into an optimum state of being to go, hang on, I need to look at my gut. I need to honor my gut and I need to really look deeper into what's going on here. So I'm just going to tell you some really simple, quick ways that you can start to make a difference to your gut. But as I said, this is a big subject and we're going to be covering this in my upcoming course. So it's a 3-step process. First step is you remove the bad bacteria. You get rid of them. It's like a bouncer in a cinema. You need to get rid of those bad guys because there's no room for the good guys without getting rid of them. So here I've just put 3 examples of great ways to remove these. So aged garlic extract or raw garlic, really good way to remove bad bacteria. Grapefruit seed extract, another really good one. And also tulsi or holy basil, amazing ways to get rid of these bad bacteria. Now these 3 things you do at the same time in conjunction with each other because they work hands in hand. So we've got rid of the bad guys. Now what we need to do next is we need to make sure we're repairing our gut lining. We're sealing it from any holes so that food can't escape out. And the 3 top ways to do this are with turmeric. I have some turmeric in hot water every night before I go to bed because not only does it remove inflammation in my body, but it also helps me to sleep better and heals the holes in my gut wall. The second one is coconut oil. Again, amazing at healing and sealing our gut wall, reducing inflammation in our gut so that it can really just be in a calmer space so that we can absorb nutrients much better. And then also aloe vera. And you can see with that sliminess of aloe vera how good it would be to coat and repair your stomach. So the third point in this process is actually restoring the good bacteria, putting the good guys back in. And we can do this in many different ways. It's a matter of putting probiotics in, putting those good bacteria. And I like to do this in many different sources. So I'm getting a full picture. So probiotics are great. A multi-strain probiotic is the best thing. I like Udo's multi-strain probiotics, or also BioCult are both very good ones to have. Make sure you're having more than just acidophilus. You really want to look at a multi-strain one. Ideally, you want to be taking the remove things, the garlic, grapefruit seed extract and the tulsi first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. The probiotics go very well being had around meal times. So not at the same time as the remove things because they'll counterbalance each other slightly. The repairing things, you can have these first thing in the morning, you can have these before meals. That's not so important. My favorite is kind of before lunch with the repair and then before bed, just so that I can really get a nice state of being whilst I sleep. So on the probiotics, sauerkraut, kefir, I like water kefir. You can go for kombucha, jun. There are many different forms of probiotics out there. So step 5, and this is one of my favorites. It's find out what makes you thrive. You know, we're all individuals and we're all on our own journey. And what works for one person might not work for another. So it's really about finding out what gives you joy, what makes you happy, what really makes your heart sing. Because when we're singing, when we're up, it's so much easier to make those right choices, isn't it? And you know, one person might love cauliflower, but cauliflower might be an irritant for another. So you have to start listening to your body. Well, what does my body like? What does my body want? And I work with people in this way through muscle testing in my consultations to really find out what in this moment is the best thing. And be aware that this changes. So it's really about learning to listen to what your body is saying and trusting yourself, because no one knows better than you. Ultimately, we are the best healer that is out there. No one else is better at healing us than ourselves. We have to take that initiative to really take that on and empower ourselves and believe in yourself, because you are a divine being with divine knowledge. And that's part of what I feel is my journey, my role in life, is to help guide people to really trust themselves by educating them. Because if we have knowledge, then we know where to go. We know what choices are the right ones. And also we know how to switch away from bad ones. Because there's no point saying don't have sugar, because then guess what? All you want is sugar. It's like that thing when someone says don't think about Johnny Depp. Well, what do you think about? Johnny Depp. Don't think about a donut. So instantly a donut springs to mind. So if you say cut this out, but you don't give a replacement, this is where you start to struggle. Because in the universe, wherever there is a void, it has to be filled. So this is how gardens work in nature. If there's a void, it will be filled by something. So fill it with something you consciously choose. So I want you to take a minute to imagine yourself with as much energy as you want to have, feeling vibrant and radiant. I want you to imagine how secure you'd feel if you knew how to address your family's needs naturally, if you knew what was actually right for your body, if you really knew the keys to nutrition. Well, this is all really possible. Transformative Health course, I'm going to show people how they can take control of their own health and well-being through really simple solutions. So on my upcoming Transformative Health course, I'm going to show people how they can understand why they're craving foods. Do any of you get cravings ever? Well, what we have to learn to do is look deeper. Why am I craving this? What is the message my body's trying to give me? And then find solutions for those cravings that are positive, that are really going to help you to thrive. On my Transformative Health course, that's starting, by the way, on the 22nd of September, I'm really excited about this. You'll learn how to interpret your body, how food can heal and really transform your life, how your mindset affects your eating and your health, because this is another really key aspect. You know, your mind, your thoughts affect your general well-being. We're going to be looking really deeply at how to heal the gut, because as I said before, this is a really key subject. We're going to be looking at foods to eliminate and why you need to eliminate them, and what the positive solutions to those foods are. We're going to be looking at how to change negative patternings around food, how to successfully cleanse your body and reset your immune system, how to supercharge your life with superfoods and super herbs, and how you can actually start integrating them. So on the course every week, I'll give you a new recipe relating to the subject that we're covering There'll also be a Facebook group, a private Facebook group for support, so I can really guide you through this. And you'll be able to feed back to me how this recipe is helping you so that you can start to integrate these principles. So it's not just talk, it's actually you integrating these things into your life. And finally, we'll look at, well, what is a healthy lifestyle and how do I really implement that into my life? So who is this course for? Well, it's for anyone who wants to take charge of their health. It's for anyone who really wants to get that support and guidance to make lasting changes. Because what I've found is that when we work together in a community and when we have that support week in, week out, we're more likely to succeed. I've seen people who've come to me for consultations and they come and have a one-off and they go off, and then it's very hard for them to actually empower themselves and take charge of making this something that they really live. So this is something that I think is really key. So I'm back now. You know, we really want to look at how we can honor our bodies, how we can overcome these patterns, because that's what it is. It's generational patterns quite often. So when my grandmother did it, my mother did it, so I do it. And to break those generational patterns, we need that support and guidance, both physically, emotionally, and energetically. Has anyone ever gone on a diet before? And you lose the weight, and then as soon as the diet finishes, what happens? You start going back to how you ate before, and the weight goes on, and usually even more. So this is something that is really, really important that we look at. So for you guys, because I really want to get this message out there, for me, that's what it's about. It's about empowering people and getting this message out. So this course was £500, and now it's £200 for you guys. So it's quite an offer. Also, and this isn't anywhere, but this is a special offer for anyone, just to take it to an even deeper level. What I want to offer you is 50% off a one-to-one with myself. So it would be a 90-minute consultation to really tune where you're going, what you're eating, so that then you can take the course even deeper to exactly what works for you. So there's a link that should be up on the screen that says the special offer that's on at the moment. So you can click that link and that will lead you to my website. If anyone has any questions about this, anyone has any feedback also about this webinar, I greatly appreciate feedback and would love to hear your thoughts. It's been really, really nice being with you all. If anyone has any questions that they've not posted up whilst we've been going, please put them up now and I'll be happy to answer them for the next few minutes for you. If you don't already know, my website is julietteskitchen.tv. There are lots of recipes on there, so you can have a look at that as well. So, oh, someone's just said they've already booked. That's great. I'm really glad. I'm really excited to be sharing this with people. You know, this is my heart's work, my soul's work, and I really love connecting with you all. Oh, I'm getting all a bit emotional. So thank you all for joining me. I know it's hard sometimes at this time when there's children and dinners and all the rest of it. So I've really enjoyed being with you. And as I said, please do send me an email because I do love hearing from you all. So thank you all for being with me. And this offer, oh, someone's just come up with a message. The raw garlic, should it be swallowed whole? It can be if you're strong enough to do that. What I like to do is I like to put the raw garlic into something. So I would put it into a smoothie or a juice. The other thing you can do with the raw garlic is you can chop it up. If you have honey, I would suggest raw local honey, and you can put it in that and leave it overnight and then take a spoonful of the honey with the raw garlic. This is a really nice way to do it. The other thing that you can do with the raw garlic is you can make a nice soup with it, a raw soup. This is a great way to have it. So with the raw garlic, I would consume it in that kind of way, because just eating it can be a little bit strong on the system. The aged garlic is a really nice way to do it because it's had the heat taken out of it, so it's much easier to take just whole in that form, or a liquid that you put onto some food. The webinars on the course are recorded, so you will get a recorded version. You will also get a recipe and you will get some little homework, very simple homework, but some sheets to help you think through what we've been working on so you can really take it to a deeper level. Someone has said, do I have any bright ideas for dealing with osteoporosis? Yes, do not take calcium supplements. This is key. I'm going to say that again. Do not take calcium supplements. This is key because the calcium supplements actually are terrible for your body. This is something we'll be going into looking at in the course in more detail. A key to strong bones is magnesium and silica. So you want to be upping your magnesium. The most available source of magnesium is raw cacao. Silica through nettles. Nettles, horsetails, bamboo shoots, these are all great ways to get silica. Because if we have enough magnesium and enough silica in our body produces its own calcium. But when we take calcium supplements, this acts as deposits in the body, and we have a lot of calcification that goes on. It can also lead to kidney stones and other problems like that. So avoid that at all costs. Obviously with osteoporosis, it's something that you really need to look at and address. Vitamin D is very important, and also grounding, getting back onto the earth and connecting with the earth. Bare feet, really, really key for this. Okay, so I'm going to let you all go, and you will get a recording of this so you can watch this again. And the offer, as I was saying before, will be open for the next week. It will finish in 1 week's time. So make sure you get this offer, because then it's going to go back up to the £497. So I want you all to get that. If you need to pay in instalments, please do get in touch with me and send me a message, because this can be arranged too, because I want this to be accessible to everyone. So thank you all for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you very soon. Lots of love. Bye.